What's going on, everyone? ODC here, and I'm back to another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to take a look at two GameStop exclusives. We're going to take a look at the Star Wars Black Series Knight Brother from Jedi Fallen Order, and then we're going to take a look at the Battlefront 2 Clone Jump Trooper. Both of these figures were picked up. I did pre-order what was it? One of each, and then I actually ended up finding them in stores. And I canceled my pre-order, and then they sent me two anyway. So I guess good on GameStop. Thank you for the free purchases. But these are two pretty cool figures. These were two figures that kind of got lost in the shuffle, I want to say, within the last, oh my god, almost going on a year since Knight Brother has been released in Canada and the UK. At least 6 months it's been. And then with the Clone Jump Trooper, it's been a few months now since he's been released in the UK and Canada. But still, all in all, it's nice to have them in hand. So that's a nice thing. I'm going to start off with the Knight Brother, so we'll just get the Clone Jump Trooper out of the way. Here he is in all of his glory. Turning this into Savage Opress, though, it doesn't really work. He's way too small. He's more of Maul's size because he's got the Darth Maul legs and then the Darth Maul Sith Apprentice upper torso. He does have a brand new head sculpt and a brand new melee weapon, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, turning this guy into Savage Opress, you definitely can't do that. Unless maybe you were going for, you have to put the Savage head on there. And maybe you're going for before his transformation, before the Night Sisters turned him into the massive hulking Jason Voorhees-esque Savage Opress that we all know. Because he was a little bit smaller before he actually finished the training and all of that. But anyway, I digress. For the most part, some of the line work is a little spotty. Over here on the face, just bringing it in really close for the face sculpt. The mouth line work is actually a little bit off, and you can actually tell. Now, some people were trying to tell me that, oh no, if you actually look at the card artwork, it's actually supposed to be off. No, it's not. If you look at the game models, the line work is supposed to be centered properly, and then there's a little bit of paint sloppage on the upper lip. And it's also not only off-centered, but it's also up on the lip where it's supposed to be below the lip, kind of in between the chin and the lower lip. So it's definitely not the best line work. It's good line work, it's not the best. So that's just to kind of clarify some things. The head itself, I like it. It's like I said, a new head sculpt here, and I do like it. I like the elongated horns here. Looks really nice. The line work, now I know yellow plastics are kind of hard. Same thing with white plastics are kind of hard to get the proper shade going. I think this is a pretty good shade of yellow, and it does kind of transition from a regular traditional yellow, or actually I should say more of like a mustardy yellow, to kind of this lighter shades of yellow or like speckled yellow on his shoulders to kind of differentiate, kind of break up some of that just monotony. He does have some of that lighter yellow mixed in with the black. It's almost like they put a shade of yellow on and then they did the black line work. The black line work on the body, I want to say, like I said, it's pretty good. We got a couple lines that just kind of end right here, which doesn't really make much sense for the tattoos. I just like calling them tattoos, I don't know. The line work on the back, though, looks really good for the most part. The hands look pretty good. I'm not really going to complain about any of that. Let's just get this out of here. And I'll just run through articulation and range of motion with him really quick. Just the head does swivel side to side, and his head does look up, and it does look down. And I just love this shirtless kind of upper torso because it's just so fluid and works so well. especially with this neck and peg joint that they have going on, like the SH Figure Arts type. Looks really good. And then we have a tilt side to side. We also have a tilt with the neck, which looks really nice. And then we got some job turkeys. There you go with that. He can swivel a full 360 rotation there. Arms go up, they go down. Full 360 rotation in the arm. Single bend at the elbow, swivel at the elbow, swivel at the wrist. He does have a hinge joint that goes back and forth. As I stumble over my words, same thing on the other side, back and forth, which would be lateral. Forward and back with the torso. He does have a ratchet torso swivel right here, pivot side to side as well. No waist swivel or anything like that because he's got the diaphragm joint, but he can do the splits about that far, which is pretty well known from what we had with Maul. It's not the best, but it's a decent. Legs go forward, legs go back, upper thigh swivel, which is really tight on mine, and I almost feel like I'm kind of putting too much stress twisting this because it's so frozen. You kind of have to really just kind of hold that in with your other hand, hold that joint in so it doesn't move, and then give it a good twist. But it is there. Like I said, this is using an older Darth Maul from like 2013 lower leg, so you know, eventually the body mold's going to start to not do so well, break down and such. Double jointed knees, points the toe really well, pointy heely. He's got ankle pivot, 2 peg holes, and that is pretty much it for articulation range of motion. He is pretty solid. He also does have butterfly joints there, just like Sith Apprentice Darth Maul. Sorry I didn't point that out earlier. Right here. And then he's got a newer, this whole sculpted kind of tunic right here is all a new sculpt. It's all newly tooled sculpt. So he does have a new head and new sculpt for the tunic piece, and then he also has a brand newly sculpted mace. So moving on to the mace here. Mace looks really good. A nice charcoal gray for the blade, charcoal gray for the fittings going down through the handle. And then we've got this nice kind of brown kind of grip, leather gripping going down. It also has a painted, nicely, really cool looking kind of like claw almost, or like maybe it's like a tooth, something like that. That looks really nice as well. He can hold it, he can two-hand it, he can do whatever you need him to with this mace. I think it looks really good, and I think this is actually kind of an underrated army builder. This is one of those that are going to kind of get lost in the shuffle, and then people are going to realize how good he actually is, and then they're going to kind of regret not picking more of them up. Especially seeing as we don't get too many other, besides like clones and such. Well, I should say we don't get too many army builders that are of a different, not a humanoid race. We don't get too many of them. It's usually mostly a bunch of humans. They all look the same. So I think it's really cool. I mean, even if you wanted to kind of create yourself in a Rebel Zabrak trooper, you could pop this head off and pop it onto another body of like maybe like a Rebel trooper, or maybe we'll get like an Endor trooper in the future, and you could go with that as well. So there's a lot of options here, I think, especially with this this body you could work with. Would I have rathered him got new legs? Sure, but it's not really the end of the world, I don't think, as far as the reuse goes. I think it works for the character, and like I said, with these kind of gaming grades comic book line, they're gonna cut corners. It's just not their main line. So I'm pretty happy with it overall. Okay, moving on to the clone Jump Trooper. He is very, very 501st-y, and I like that quite a bit. He does come with a jump pack and a pistol, his DC-17 pistol, which looks really good for the most part. I don't really have any issues with any of the stuff he came with. If I could add one more thing for him to make him super special, especially seeing as, there's a pretty decent following for Battlefront 2. I still play Battlefront 2. I would have loved it if he would have came with a newly sculpted rocket launcher, because that's one of the features of the jump pack clone trooper, is they have the rocket launcher as an ability. Same thing with the mace. I think he got a newly sculpted mace. It would have been nice if we got a newly sculpted rocket launcher. And I feel like a lot of the clones do use rocket launchers. I mean, if you watch the Clone Wars series, you know that. I think it would have worked for him. But this is kind of his base look. It makes sense still. And I do like it quite a bit. I like the aesthetics of him. So all the line work looks really good on him. The blues look nice and vibrant and, not too vibrant, just enough. I love this new Clone Trooper helmet, I think that looks really nice. I like that they actually went ahead and sculpted with most of the new Clone Troopers. They actually sculpted a head and then glued the Clone Trooper head onto the helmet. And I think that actually makes sense. A lot of people are like, well, that's stupid. Why would you do that? You can remove it. It's just glued in. And if you wanted to paint the head, you could, if you wanted to. But I think it makes sense from a more of a natural look standpoint. Because if you look at some of the older Clone Troopers, they got these teeny little heads. And I think this is a much more proportionate to the body head, seeing as there actually is a head in there. So I think it makes sense. I think it's cool. And it also gives you customizers an option. There's still a head underneath there. The jump pack does depeg out of the back. It's just one hole. We still have these fitment holes from Jango Fett, because the Jango Fett, original Jango Fett pack, jump pack, which does work. Even if you wanted to buy a bunch of these and then use the jump pack and repaint it maybe gray for the wolf pack, or even just buy an extra one and paint it gray for Commander Wolf. You could do that if you wanted to. You would definitely have to chop these off and the peg off if you're going to put it on Wolf and glue it to his back, because he doesn't have any peg hole in his back for a jump pack. It does fit in nice and secure. There's no issues with it falling out or anything like that, so you don't have that issue. The body itself is pretty much, I want to say, a little bit of a Frankenstein. It's not as much of a Frankenstein. I got like some stuff on his chest for some reason. I don't know what that is from. But anyway, he's kind of a Frankenstein body. He does have the newly sculpted upper torso, and you'll be able to tell that by mostly the connectivity points and the kind of the strap points on the upper, near the shoulder joint where the two platelets meet for the armor. It's actually sculpted different from the old Clone Trooper, so that's how you know if you have a new Clone Trooper upper torso or not. The arms are an old Clone Trooper, legs are old Clone Trooper, so we don't have pinless joints. It's double joints on the arms and the legs. So a little bit interesting there that they decided to go with the older arms and older legs for the Clone Troopers. So it actually does help, because if you look at some of the newer Clone Troopers, while that body is nice and you can get the them to take a knee a lot better, there actually is a little bit better clearance from the thigh armor to the crotch armor. If you look at some of the newer clones, it's a little bit tighter of a fitment. Okay, so quick comparison. If you look at the newer clone, you'll see there's almost no room there. And this is, let me take this off really quick. If you just look at it like this, so that's the leg straight, and here's his leg straight. There's a little bit more clearance on the older body than the newer one, if you can see that difference right there. So that's just something to point out for you. He can hold the pistol here. He only has one pistol hand right here, where this one you're going to have to separate it with an X-Acto knife to get the dual wielding. If you want to have him dual wielding, it's up to you. Personally, I just like the one blaster pistol in his arm. But as far as his articulation does go, with the jump pack on, head can swivel side to side, full 360 rotation in the head. His head can look up about that far. I would have liked a little bit more, especially if he's jetpacking. You want to have him a little bit more right there, but it's still pretty decent. I love the neck and head joint are separate. You can look down if you need them to. You can pivot side to side, so pretty good range of motion there. You definitely got some job turkeys up in here. Arms go up about that far, go down, full 360 rotation in the arm. He does have a old school bicep swivel right there. It is there. He does have double jointed elbows, which gets more than 90 degrees, which is nice. And he does have a swivel at the wrist. He does have a lateral hinge joint and a vertical hinge joint right here on the other side. I almost said bicep swivel. He's got a diaphragm joint right there. It swivels. It does pivot a little bit. It's more of a jiggle than a pivot, and it can crunch forward and back. The belt does get in the way of the crunch. You can do the splits about that far. Legs go forward. You kind of have to kick them out because of the leg armor touching. And then we do have double jointed knees. He can point the toe only about this far. That was kind of the issue with the older clones, is that they could only point the toe this far due to the sculpting of the leg armor. If you look at the newer ones right here, he can point the toe much better. He can actually point his toe at all. That's kind of the issue. I kind of wish that these did have the newer legs on them. I'm not gonna lie, just so we could get, when you're in a flight pose, you want to point that toe down a little bit. But I guess it's not the end of the world. It's something to point out. He does also have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes at the bottom of his feet. And he can point the heel about that far. So that's about it for articulation with him. Okay, so first up for size comparisons, we've got a Marvel Legends Retro Spider-Man Shocker action figure on the right, and then on the left we've got a DC Multiverse 3 Jokers Red Hood. Okay, next up we've got a G.I. Joe Classifieds Duke on the left, and then on the right we've got a Articulated Icons Ninja. Okay, next up we've got a Motu Classics Vicor on the right, and then on the left we've got the Motu Revelations Man-at-Arms. Okay, next up we've got 2 SH Figuarts. We got a SH Figuarts Luke Skywalker on the right, and then on the left we've got the Kamen Rider Black RX. All right, next up we've got 2 Mezco action figures. On the left we've got the Nosferatu, the newer Nosferatu. On the right we've got Atticus Doom. Okay, next up we've got 2 Black Series action figures. We've got Jackson on the right, and then on the left we've got the heir to the Empire, Luke Skywalker. Okay, so for my final thoughts on both of these figures, I would, as far as aesthetics go, sculpt, articulation, range of motion, I would definitely give them a 2 thumbs up. There's a 2 thumbs. And a good recommendation. When it comes to price point, I would say it's kind of like a 2 thumbs down, because, and the reason why I say that is because these are essentially $27 after tax and shipping. If you're paying for shipping, it's like $32 per figure. For 2 troop builders, I can't justify that. If you buy them in store for, what was it, $26.99 out the door, I mean, that's still pushing it. I think these are $22 figures. I know they're $25 by Hasbro standards now, but I don't think that they're really above the $25. There's nothing really that special about them. Enough. Yeah, we get a new mace. Yeah, we get a new head and a new tunic. And with the Clone Trooper, you get not really anything that's all that new. It's stuff that's reused. So I just don't see the $32 price point after tax and shipping, and you're paying the premium for an exclusive to GameStop. Now, I will say this, GameStop is a lot easier about finding stuff in stores than Target or Walmart, which they never have anything in their store. So it's a little bit easier for me to find stuff at GameStop than anywhere else, which I never thought I would say that, but it just is. It's a fact. I don't know. I think the price hurts these from being true army builders. I feel like maybe they should have made a Gaming Greats 2-pack with both of these. You could do Jedi Fallen Order versus Battlefront 2 or some sort of theme like that. I don't know. Outside of that, as far as, like I said, these are troop builders. They're not a necessity to get. They're an exclusive. I just don't get the raised price for it. It just doesn't. No, it's not sitting well with me. I don't know. It is kind of hard to justify army building for $30 for a Hasbro retail mass-produced figure. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't affect everybody else that's not on a budget. But personally, I've got the one extra one that they sent me. I have 2 of these guys. I have 2 of those guys. I'm good to go. I don't need any more than that, really. Yeah, I still like the figures, though. The figures themselves are really good. That's pretty much it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, as always, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.